right, so we got Colin Dierman in the studio today, and this is Colin's first experience with a podcast studio, so he's still getting used to the way he sounds. It's like very Barry Manilow-ish.
Thank you.
So Colin has been a long time friend of mine since I literally was a little boy. You run the local bike shop in the town that we live in, Wamsley Cycles, and you went from somebody that I would go in and just like shoot the shit about cycling and you know, byproduct from, to we started to ride together and formed a friendship, and through this I've seen just how much knowledge you have about the sport of cycling, whether it be hitting big jumps, whether it be bombing down a big hill, or just fitting an average Joe or Jane that walks in and wants a bike for the rail trail that fits properly. Like, you know everything there is to know about bikes because you live it and breathe it. You don't just work at a bike shop and run it. You're a cyclist yourself. So I wanted you to come on today to talk to the audience about just the different options that somebody has when they come in. So first off, thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
And man, just real quick, I for sure don't think I know everything. There's so much.
Compared to the normal person, dude, it's absurd how much you know, though.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't got to be fucking modest on this show. So, all right, so the main concept of this show, a lot of the people that listen specifically to the podcast are those that want to be in better shape, want to be in better health. A lot of them just aren't into the whole, I'm going to go to fucking Planet Fitness, I'm going to work out because society says I need to go to the gym. Jeff, my business partner, is a really good example of who I'm trying to bring this episode to. Jeff didn't like the gym. He went because he had to, but once he found cycling via me and he started going to you guys, now he's on this big journey to better his health, and cycling's leading the way on that. So, I mean, when somebody hears bicycling, I think most people think of just like it's one thing, but there's so many different aspects, and now we've got the whole e-bike side of things.
Right.
So where does it really start? If somebody wants to get into it, how do they find what discipline, be as extreme as BMX and downhill to as laid back as like a rail trail bike? Mm-hmm. How does somebody kind of identify maybe where they fit in?
For me, I think the first step is to go to the local bike shop. Tell them what you want to do, and really kind of explain to them the experience that you want to have, what your goals are, a bit of information, so that in that situation that salesman, that person at the bike shop can evaluate what you're telling them and be able to pick out, okay, here's two choices I think that are going to fit what you're talking about, and kind of maybe just pick. Could be, if they fit your style of riding, could be anything from I like the color to this one looks cooler, or I foresee myself, whatever that is. You know, everybody's got their thing that when they look at their bike and they're like, okay, if I have a choice between two, something's going to trigger you into being like, yeah, I'd like to do that one. Test ride bikes for sure. Right. And kind of get a feel for what a couple bikes feel like as far as just on a test ride. So, you know, most people have like a vision of like, yeah, cool, if I'm going to ride the bike, that they're automatically having a vision of like where they are, what the surface of the ground is, kind of, you know, just in their mind what their experience is going to be. And I think for myself and for the guys at the shop, we can take that kind of information and guide them into like, hey, this is what I would recommend. Right. And
so do you see yourself, you know, riding in kind of in the woods on a kind of a mellow trail, but it's going to have some roots, or do you see yourself just staying on the sidewalk and being on the rail trail? Is that what you mean?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. You know, and getting that feel for like, if I was using an analogy, like if somebody skis, do you ski bumps? Right. You know, are you that rider or skier or whatever? Right. And you know, and kind of evaluating that from experience and being like, yeah, for sure, you explain to me what you're doing. And you know, a lot of bikes are very versatile. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to ride in the woods on roots and rocks, but I'm also going to ride on the rail trail, you know, so buy the equipment that can handle the rougher terrain.
Right. So what is that type of equipment to where I want people to understand the difference between a lot of them see what I'm doing with BMX, and it's, you know,
Right.
it's that 20-inch freestyle looking bike, and then they see the guys doing the big downhill.
Right.
And then there's the type of bikes like you're talking about. So what you're talking about, that's considered more of like a hybrid style bike, right? For the road and the rail trail?
Well, I would say for the road and rail trail, for sure, a hybrid style bike would work out. But if it's off-road routes and rocks and the rail trail, then the bike has to be a mountain bike, you know, to be able to handle the rougher terrain, to be able to give that rider more control because of the suspension. Really, a lot of the bikes that we sell are like what I would just consider a trail bike.
Right.
You know, and a trail bike, like a mountain bike that can handle trails. You know, rail trail bikes for that rider, are also considered a trail bike. But I think that the mountain bike can be ridden in a mountain bike, but you can ride it on any surface. If you have a hybrid that's good for the rail trail and a hard pack smooth surface, really not going to be able to give you that off-road experience at all because of the tires, the suspension or lack of, those kinds of features on a bike. So I would say really, kind of in that vein of what do you do, talk to somebody who has experience with it in your local area, and really you'll gel with somebody. I mean, you go into a shop and you start asking questions. If they're standoffish or put offish, it's not your shop.
Right. And I think that's one of the big reasons to, number one, utilize a shop over, you can
internet.
The internet, you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods, you can go to Walmart. When you first get into it, it's easy to fall into the trap of, a bike's a bike. I mean, this thing's got shocks, that one's got shocks, and you don't really understand the difference. Not only the equipment that's not as good, but then the bike fit. And I think that's something that I told the audience on the last episode. If you're in the North Central West Virginia, Greater Pittsburgh area, they need to come to you guys, because more so than just the product is a better quality, it's important that the bike fits your body right. Like if the seat's too high, the seat's too low, it's going to be uncomfortable. The seat pitch is too forward or too backward. It's gonna hurt you where you don't want it to hurt.
Right.
If the top tube's too long, like things are gonna not feel comfortable, and therefore you're gonna make an investment in the wrong size bike, and you're not gonna do it, and you're gonna waste money. So, talk to folks about, number one, bike quality. Like, obviously, can you get a cheaper bike at Dick's Sporting Goods? Absolutely, but it's not only going to be cheaper in the money you spend, but it's also going to be cheaper quality. Therefore, it's going to be not what you want. So, what's the main difference? They're both two wheels. Right. They both have cranks. Like, what's the difference between what a quality bike shop carries like you and something that I can go get at Dick's Sporting Goods?
So, I would say the first thing of difference that I always bring out is that the quality of the build. Firstly, having a professional mechanic go over the bike properly, to install the parts properly, to adjust everything properly, and that's just for basic safety.
I was gonna say, I don't think people think about that. Somebody's fucking putting that bike together. Do you want you don't want like half high Billy that just toked up in his car before he walked into Dick's, or do you want Jeremy, who knows what the fuck he's doing? Colin's laughing. Who's done this for years and literally like puts together my race bike. I don't even check it because I know it's going to be safe.
Right.
And that's something you got to consider.
I mean, I think so. With looking into purchasing a bicycle for long-term use, it's an investment, no doubt. They're not inexpensive. I think that starting off in that $450 price range and up, but they're still not inexpensive compared to a lot of what you can buy in a department store. I think safety is a big thing first, and just the quality of a lot of the materials on the bike. There's a lot going on with the R&D of a bike shop quality bike, so that it gives that rider the experience that they're expecting. A lighter weight bike, the shifting works good, not only because it was assembled properly, but because it's good quality parts. Yeah. When you get into a department store bike, like you said, you don't know who's assembling it, but also just the quality level of the parts and the materials that they're using is not on par.
Right.
And would give a new rider, maybe not the experience they're thinking, and if they have a negative experience, and they're just like, okay, so that sucked.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and it's no fun, and I think part of, like, you know, like you said, as far as, you know, it's got two wheels and all, but it's about the, you know, getting out there and sticking with it.
Right.
You know, and
100%.
if you don't have a good experience, give it another shot firstly. Maybe
Right.
go to a bike shop with it and see if you can rectify that, before you just give up on it. Because, I mean, we hear that a lot. Oh, I'll just buy a Walmart bike, or, you know, a department store bike, and I'll just see if I like it. Well,
Yeah.
the bike's twice as heavy.
Exactly.
The parts don't work on it like they're supposed to. It doesn't have a good fit.
Yeah.
Because they just take it off the floor.
Yeah. That's like, I'm going to try this new food, so let me try this cheap, shitty version.
Right.
Like, the first time you try a hamburger, do
Yep.
you want it to be from, like, you know, Exxon, or do you want it to be from, like, the best hamburger place you can try
For
it from?
sure. Yeah.
I think too, and the reason I'm trying to bring as much attention to cycling as I can is not because I see so many people that buy a bike, they ride it 3 times, and it fucking collects dust. Like, that's not. Just don't waste your time buying a bike if that's what you're going to do. I'm trying to bring it to where somebody looks at this as a lifestyle change, just like Jeff has done, to where he's riding indoors, he's riding outdoors when it's nice. Like, he puts some serious time on that.
For sure he has.
And look, I mean, with that comes wear and tear. And, like, if you've got a department store bike, you ain't going to fucking work on that yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take it back to Dick's. Like, that kid doesn't know what he's doing. So having that relationship with an expert, again, if you're in this area, then, like, no doubt, and I'm not just saying this because, like, they're a sponsor, they're a friend, like, I trust these guys. Like, Wamsley Cycles is the best, and there are other shops in town, but you don't get that experience. There's a shop like Wamsley in most towns that there's a cycling community. So if you're, you know, in, I don't know, somewhere in PA, like, there's a shop, I would recommend going there, building a relationship, because that guy's going to have to tune the bike for you. And you know a lot of your customers, right? You know what they like. Like, I would say probably all the way down to the grip tape on road bikes. Like, you and Chip and Jeremy, you guys know what the customer likes, just like the coffee shop knows how I like my coffee. It's ready to roll when I walk in. Like, they just know me. And there's something about that goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. I would really recommend, too, when you go into that bike shop for the first time, maybe bring a 6-pack of beer.
Yeah.
You know, for the mechanics and
There
stuff.
you go.
I mean, hey, you know, I mean, it is one of those things. It seems like bikes and beer, you know,
Yeah.
kind of have
I think that's what's
good
cool about. I mean, like,
relationship.
most of the people I've ever met, really any bike shop I've walked into, because I've been across the country at a lot of races, like, true cyclists are, like, cool, down to earth people. So, like, it's not like when somebody walks into a law firm. Like, these are real dudes, and, like,
Right.
you can build a relationship with them. So while Colin might be joking about that, I don't think he is. Like, you generally, like, you're probably gonna end up riding with these guys.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
You know, just it kind of depends on what the scenario is. But for sure, you want to be able to trust what they're telling you,
For sure.
and to have that, like, confidence that, cool, I'm on the right path.
Right.
And yeah, really, I would really say, as I meet new people and they talk to me about their bike experience and where they want to take it, yeah, wherever they are in the country that I've been fortunate enough to go, I'm like, hey man, just call me.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
can shoot me an email if you have questions, and yeah, and help them build that confidence with their local dealer.
Something that I want to talk about is something that's new and hot in the cycling world, and we've been doing some stuff with it, with your marketing, is the e-bike movement.
Yep.
And what the hell is an e-bike? Like, if I'm a cyclist already, can I ride an e-bike? If I've never rode before, like, is an e-bike a good fit for me? Like, let's talk a little bit about that, because it's super cool what's going on, and there's so many different options as far as what you have with e-bikes now, that I think it's the future, or part of the future of cycling.
For sure, I believe it is in the future of cycling. You know, without a doubt, it's not going to take over
Right.
the traditional non-e-bike, but for sure, in areas like where we are, where the riding is not always comfortable because of the terrain.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think with the e-bikes, they're going to be a part of the future. And really, there's a lot to them. You know, so with the e-bikes, there's classifications. What we are mainly behind is a non-throttle style pedal assist bike.
So it's not a motorcycle.
It's not a motorcycle. If you don't pedal it, it doesn't go. But what it does is it magnifies the effort you're putting into it, so that on climbs, you can go at a pace that you're comfortable with, but get up the climb.
Right.
And that's good for riders from rail trail users, commuters, and off-road mountain bikers. It's good for the beginner rider who wants to get into an experience and have a lot of fun, but doesn't have the fitness to keep up with their friends, or whatever the reason is. I like to ride them just for fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's just fun.
I think that says a lot that you do ride them, because I mean, you ride to work. Like you're a cyclist, right? So if there was anybody that's ever going to be like, that's not real cycling, and that's a lot of the bullshit that I hear some people saying, is that's not true cycling, and just getting kickback because it's got somewhat of an assistance in the power that you're putting down. It's fucking fun, and I think you had said that like when we shot a video recently, like, dude, just get over it. It's meant to be fun, right?
Absolutely.
It's not like they're going to be in the class a cross country race with somebody that's not on an e-bike.
Absolutely,
that's not what we're talking about.
It absolutely. It's
I haven't gotten on one yet. I got to get on.
It'll blow you away.
Dude, I can't.
Yeah, man, I agree. There's the negativity is understandable. You know, because as mountain biking has evolved, you know, from the early days that I remember riding when front suspension came out,
right?
And the negative was, oh man, you don't need that. You know, it's just a lot of extra weight. And then, you know, all these different types of things over the years have evolved with parts on a bike or the designs of the bike, and having that, you don't need full suspension, you know, on a mountain bike. That's just a waste of energy. And for sure, when they were new, they used more energy than they needed to. But it's like, what other off-road vehicle doesn't have suspended wheels?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're riding over rocks and roots and, you know, some pretty gnarly natural terrain in this area, and in a lot of areas are like that. And it's like, it keeps the wheels on the ground, you know, it makes sense, you know, and so it was adapted, and it's like, oh, wow, you know, full suspension, you have to have it. So it's
just another progression of the bike.
You know, people who want to ride a certain way will gravitate towards the pedal assist bike. I'll tell you, the thing that blows me away is how many trainers for pro athletes that use a bicycle for fitness for their professional athletes make them ride the e-bike so they can be more consistent with their output, and really they can go farther in the same amount of time and get multiple laps in, so they can, you know, there's a lot of facets with that, but that professionals are recommending it because it's actually, you don't go anaerobic.
Right.
You know, you can really avoid that oxygen depletion, and then you're going to have to deal with, well, cool, I just hammered that hill and I'm completely out of breath. It's going to take me 10-15 minutes to recover properly.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't have that in the ride. You can have a lot of the fun of the ride without the physical discomfort, and you still get a workout.
Right.
I mean, I feel like I've been on the e-bikes for 3 years now.
Are they that old now? They've been around for, you guys have had them in the shop for 3 years now.
Oh, we've had pedal assist bikes at the shop for, I would say, at least 15 years.
Really? Just not as advanced as what they are now.
And more street oriented, commuter oriented, and now the evolution has come into the mountain bikes. Yeah, and as a motorcyclist, I jumped on board because they're fun. You know, just like when I jump on the dirt bike, I ride that dirt bike because it's fun.
Right.
And I just like the adrenaline and you know, the kind of, hey, you're gonna scare yourself of both.
Right.
You know, the mountain bike with the e-bike allows me to climb the hill easy, so I can do the fun descents or the scary descents. I can do more of them in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think that is the big thing with the off-road e-bikes are fun,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and there's minimal negativity that I can associate with that, as far as like, well, it doesn't allow you to do this.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't think of anything.
Right.
Not to say that there's not, but
Sure.
you know, yeah,
Yeah, it's a good
there's
option though. I mean,
it's
that
an
might
awesome
be
option.
that might be the perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of an investment if somebody's wanting to get into this for the first time, but
For
it's one of
sure.
those things that I mean, that thing is going to last you, and it's
Right.
and it's going to be a lot of fun, right? If you can justify going out and making an investment on a motorcycle, you know, you absolutely can make an investment on one of these. But I mean, you don't have to go that high level.
No,
You can go in and
not.
so talk about as we kind of wrap things up, the different brands that you guys carry. We're not talking about Diamondback and Mongoose, and not that those are those bikes have more of a premium level, but they also have the kind of the lower level department store quality. You guys are carrying, in my opinion,
brands.
the premium brands. I only ride the two brands that you guys carry. So what kind of brands can we expect at your shop?
So we carry the Trek bicycles as well as the Specialized bikes.
Both have won Tour de France. I mean, they're downhill cost any championship
Every
they've won it.
championship, I would think that they're either have won it or are in the hunt. And you know, a lot of good brands out there for sure. A lot of people being able to do really cool stuff. We're fortunate that with two of the top 3 global bike manufacturers, they bring in a lot of R&D.
Right.
They put a lot of money into a lot of different facets of cycling, and I think that benefits everybody as much as they get bashed on for you know, one thing or another. I think one of the biggest things that gets undertold about them is how important they are, or how much they add to the advocacy to get people on bikes, and like the people that you're reaching out to. It's like, hey, you know, that's who they're reaching out to, and being like, you know, go out, have fun, get in touch with your local bike dealer, and have a great experience with that. And if that shop doesn't give you that great experience, you know, try another shop.
Right.
You know,
for sure.
And that's kind of how it is. You know, I mean, not everybody's perfect all the time. And if you create that relationship with the shop, you can be like, hey, I had a great experience, but this. And that makes the shop better too. Yeah. And, you know, it's always kind of hard to do that, but it's important, you know?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, look, the whole reason that Colin and I are friends started with the fact that I utilized the bike shop, and you guys treated me so well. And at the time, it was more so my dad than me, because my dad was the one shelling out the money. But like, you treated us like family, to the point where we became good friends, and I'm friends with everybody in there. And I'm not the only one that you've done that with. Like, that's just the norm for you guys.
Oh no,
and,
look, you're the only one.
Yeah, I'm the only one. I'm the fucking special one. But I mean, that's what makes a good shop. And honestly, like, I learned from that as a kid, to where the customer service here, like, we've tried to model it around that, to where, like, I tell our clients, I want you to be addicted to doing business with us, even more so than the service we're providing, because that's the type of experience that I felt like I get from you guys. You do not get that everywhere. So again, be picky with your bike shop. I mean, how, when you walk in, I've been in the shops before that they look at you like you're, you know, bothering them from the game they're playing on the computer. Like, that's not the norm everywhere.
Right.
So find that shop, because finding that shop is the equivalent of finding that partner. It's going to help you find the right fit of a bike, you know, for you, your spouse, your kids. And I know somebody's going to ask this, because I've already done a video on the BMX bike. So my mountain bike, my road bikes, they're Trek, they're Specialized. My BMX bike is a company called S Squared, because Trek and Specialized no longer make BMX race bikes. But all of the components, all the parts, they're all assembled at Wamsley Cycles. So if Trek or Specialized still made BMX race bikes, that's what I'd be riding, because that's what I used to ride. But that sport is not quite as popular as it used to be, or nowhere near as big as mountain biking and road cycling. So if you're into those types of bikes, Specialized and Trek, in my opinion, are the best, and that's obviously why you guys carry them. Dude, this is awesome. We'll do more of these. We'll have to go down and do an episode in the shop, and we'll bring Jeremy and if we have enough airtime, we'll bring Chip in, and we'll let some of the guys talk about things as far as maintenance and just different aspects, because a big portion of what we're going to talk about on this podcast is just going to be cycling, because I do think it's one of the best options for somebody to get involved in something that genuinely can change their life, right?
Oh, for sure. It can take you anywhere you want to go with it.
Right.
From just a weekend rider and going out and just doing the cruising thing to just a full-on lifestyle. It can take you anywhere that you want to go.
For sure. Yeah. It's an amazing sport. I mean, it's literally the reason that when I started to get in better shape, like, it wasn't because I just wanted to get in better shape. It was because I wanted to do better on my bike. I mean, it's the seed that grows into whatever you want it to grow into.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's easy on the body as far as the low impact. Yeah. You can do it from anywhere.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of benefits, that I think a lot of folks can take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Where can people find you? What's your all's website, social media? Where are you guys located at?
Yeah, we're down in the Seneca Center on Beechhurst Avenue in downtown Morgantown. WamsleyCycles.com is our website. You can catch us on Instagram, Facebook. Pop on there, like us. We're going to start putting out some of the videos that we've been working on, and really just for general information. You can always get in touch with us just by calling the shop.
Cool. And it's WAMSLEY
Correct.
Cycles, you said .com?
Yeah.
.com. Listen, if you guys got value out of this podcast, I'm sure Colin will be back on for another episode. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. That's what helps us get discovered and help more people. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be doing more on cycling. And remember, if you can't find the way, make the way.